The following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. Making their way down the aisle, Carlos, Mark, Nick, and Remy, the Entrance Ramp Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Entrance Ramp Podcast. I am your host, Nick Vega, alongside my co-host, Carlos Rodriguez.
Hey, everybody.
And Mark Lindsay.
Hey, everybody. How are you today?
We're going to give you a quick rundown of this week's events in wrestling. We're going to start the show off with Monday Night Raw. Gentlemen, the first question I'm going to pose to you is Edge has accepted Randy Orton's match. We're just going to do a quick rundown. Do we think it's going to be a good match? Let me throw that question out real quick. Yes or no? Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's going to be the greatest wrestling match to ever happen.
That is the plan. We will see how Edge works through. Do you think 20-minute match, 30 minutes?
I think a 30-minute barn burner. Like it is. I'm joking about the title. You know, like that WWE is like promoting the match that way. But I honestly think it's really going to be a good match. I think 30 minutes. I think it's going to be good.
Okay. Switching gears, we're going to hop right over to Seth Rollins has added a new member to his stable, Austin Theory. Austin Theory is out from the Angel Garza and Andrade stable.
He's a bad fit. Yeah,
he didn't seem to really fit well, but he seems like he could be a great fit with like a new gear set in Rollins' stable. Do you see him superseding Buddy Murphy, Mark? Do you see him being Rollins' right-hand man now?
I think that would be a great direction to go. You have the opportunity here that Seth Rollins is a made man. He doesn't necessarily need the world title. He can be used to develop new talent like he is. He's part of that Monday Night Messiah. So I think what you could do is you could have him favor Austin Theory and just make subtle hints of Buddy Murphy, like looking over and, nothing major. Build it up, slow build. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 months. And then you have this blow up. And you not only elevated Buddy Murphy because he'll probably be the face, but
right.
Elevated Austin Theory, who we all know is probably the next superstar in the world of wrestling entertainment.
Carlos, do you feel that same way?
I think it could go that route. I'm kind of hoping it goes in a tag team title win route
for right? Murphy and Theory.
And Theory, yeah, I think they'd be a good team because they complement each other so well.
Do you think that they're just going to clear the board of AOP? It seems like AOP is not very dependable for being all the time, and I think they just want to hit the reset button, give him a nice tag team as a backup for his stable, and then I was thinking more along the lines of what Mark was saying, where they have that real slow build, maybe even a year, where they're like cool best friends, and it's like, you know what, dude, you keep trying to take the shine from me. And then Buddy Murphy becomes a face because I don't see Theory becoming a face anytime.
Yeah, I agree as well with that because that sentiment could work really well in that structure, and then you could also have them go where like everything just implodes, like that. It's just like decimation across the whole board for like the whole stable.
Gotcha.
Not like just them two, like everything breaks down.
Speaking of stables, we're gonna switch gears real quick, and we're gonna talk about MVP. It seems like he is building his own stable. He has now aligned himself with Bobby Lashley. Lashley has rid himself of Lana. Thank God.
Yeah,
and now it seems like Bobby Lashley can focus. Maybe even take the U.S. title. I don't see him being a world champion just yet. McIntyre is still real early in his run, and if you put him near McIntyre, he's just going to fizzle out. How many members do we think MVP will have joined his stable, or is this just a one-man manage stable or player?
He still has like Mick and Thorne as well, because I think they officially moved up to Raw from NXT. So I would, in my mind, add one more full-time wrestler, because then you got MVP as like this guy who can wrestle and can go, but he doesn't do it often. So it's like almost like a special attraction, because I really like his in-ring style. I always was a fan of MVP, especially back in the day. Like I was so happy to see him back. But I think you add one more person, like a full-time, maybe he could take someone, maybe like Garza or somebody. He could break apart the Selena Vega thing, right? Just break that all apart, so she could just stay with Andrade, and then maybe like have one more person, and then just build up. Like you have four like full wrestlers and then just build them up. I think Lashley going after what's the name? I'm sorry, he was going after Drew, right? At the end of Raw. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I think that's especially now that we're starting to see a transition of Bobby Lashley, and then Drew actually taunting him like, "Be the monster you are, be the beast that you are." He's trying to get like Bobby to be the old Bobby Lashley that we know from Impact Wrestling, and they have a history there too. So why not, like, without mentioning it, just kind of like we have a history. He was more badass back then, and now look, he's been married, he's had all this stuff, and now he's starting to see that competitive side of Bobby Lashley.
I'm the wet noodle. I like to complain about everything. And I complain when Bobby Lashley isn't used properly, and I'm going to complain that Bobby Lashley is. I'm of the mindset right now that, yes, see what you can get out of this direction with Lashley and MVP together. But I also feel that so much has been done poorly that it's going to be almost insurmountable to come back from. So hopefully I'm proven wrong. But this is a good start, and it's a good storyline. It's a lot more interesting than Lashley and Lana.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think MVP has the style and flair, and like, I don't want to bring race into it, but him being a black man with another black man, they can basically vibe off each other. It doesn't feel forced. You know, it's like remember how Bob Backlund was with Darren Young? Like, the hell was that? They're both two totally different people, two totally different mindsets. It didn't make sense, you know. So I could see MVP being the mouthpiece because he's really good at talking still, and letting Lashley just do his talking in the ring, kind of a la, you know, Brock Lesnar, which is incredible because they both had Lashley and Lesnar for such a long time, and them two have never really had a clash.
Yeah, with just to touch on the MVP thing, like I see him in this new role because, you know, he's a producer and stuff. I see him like similar to Rocky Romero in New Japan, where like Rocky doesn't wrestle much, but when he does, it's special. But he's bringing up these younger talent. Not that Bobby's younger, but he needs somebody behind him to kind of push forward.
Yeah, I'm always a favorite. Same thing with Seth Rollins. You know, he could be a special attraction. Doesn't have to wrestle but once or twice a month. You know, doesn't have to work every week. So we're gonna switch up gears and we're gonna talk about NXT. So first things first, we'll talk about the interim cruiserweight championship tournament. I know we haven't discussed it a lot on this show because we're kind of just waiting for the brackets to kind of, you know, fall in place and see where this interim title match would go. So we have an interesting twist because there's a tie in Block A for the top spot. There's a three-way tie between Jake Atlas, Kushida, and Drake Maverick. They will be wrestling next week for the winner of Block A. El Fantasma is the winner of Block B. Do you gentlemen see who do you see winning this match? Let me just come out with the Kushida, Atlas, and Maverick. Who do you see coming out of that match?
I'm gonna go with my favorite wrestler, Kushida. Yeah, I think he's a lock. I think he needs kind of like a little more exposure within NXT and to the general U.S. audience. They've used him sparingly here and there, but like he hasn't had any big moments. I think this is kind of his time to shine. For anyone who doesn't know his New Japan history,
I'll go with Kushida as well because my prediction already came true that they've turned this Drake Maverick real life situation into a storyline. Who knows if he'll be re-signed? I think that's kind of the shadow, the elephant in the room, if you will, is that we're all kind of wondering. And that's, as much as I'm going to rip WWE for kind of turning that into a storyline, that's also one of the things I like about it is because you just don't know. And a lot of the product today, especially WWE, is predictable, or at least you have an idea of the direction they're going, but you really don't know. And if they pull the trigger and they give Drake the win, which would be a great story, then you have to imagine that he will re-sign a contract and that you kind of feel for the other people who got let go on that Black Wednesday who didn't get an opportunity to shine on their way out and have a chance to save their jobs. So I'm kind of torn. Again, I'm the wet noodle today. I think if they go with Drake, it would be a great story, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea as well because it is kind of almost like a slap in the face, right? Like, and that's no disrespect to Drake or Spud, whatever you want to call him. Like, it's not like a disrespect to him. It's more like, how come Leo Rush didn't get a shot, right? Like Leo Rush, literally, when that bracket was announced, I believe it was like that Tuesday, right? It was like that Monday or Tuesday, announced the interim title tournament. He's like, hey man, like he went on Twitter and just legit was like, hey, why am I not on this? Like, and then 2 days later, he got fired through text. And he had to text them too, by the way. He had to text WWE, be like, hey man, am I like being let go? He's like, yeah, you are. We didn't get to call you yet. Like, what the hell do you mean? like I should have to text my job to know if I got a job or not.
Yeah, I mean WWE is very ruthless, and it is a business, so I understand it, but at the same point in time,
yeah, and
I don't handle situations very well.
And with me saying Kushida win, I think that seems the most likely case. But they have been billing Atlas. I mean, I don't think
Atlas is the young up and comer.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would look bad in a win. Like, or as a
no,
users don't look bad.
That like Mark said, that's the good thing about this whole situation is that there's such an in-depth storyline for all three of these men because the Kushida's well versed, Atlas is the up and comer, and Maverick is fighting for his job. All stories are good. And it's going to lead to a great match, whoever wins against Fantasma. Because
what we have to do too is we have to watch Pro Wrestling Tees website because Drake Maverick has his Rockstar Spud store open right now. If that closes like this week, we know he resigned. Like, well, that's actually not true too because Tommaso Ciampa I think still sells some stuff, and so does Owens. I don't know how, but they still do.
When it comes to Maverick, I mean, we'll see what direction WWE takes him in. But at least he got a chance to shine on his way out if he is ultimately let go.
Yeah, he didn't have much matches when he signed with WWE. He was just a backstage character. I was like, oh, okay.
We're gonna go ahead and switch gears. It seems like Johnny Gargano and Keith Lee are, on a collision course because they've pretty much gotten involved with Mia Yim and Candice LeRae, their whole situation. Keith Lee came in for the save. Do we see Gargano taking the strap off of Lee? It seems like Lee's reign has been disappointing. Could it be because of the fans? Could it be just like he's not having great matches? Mark?
I think it's a combination of both. The fans definitely were part of his entrance, and he's definitely somebody who did well in front of the fan. He's not, and it's not like he's doing bad. He's not doing bad.
No, not at all.
A little bit of, I think I expected more from his title, North American title run, and it's not late. It's not too late that they can't change it. It's also not too early to push him for the world title. So he's kind of in an interesting position here. I think if anybody deserves it, it's Gargano. He has been at the top of the program without even fighting for a championship. He's been an MVP of that promotion. Does he need the North American title? I don't think he does. So again, this is another one of those. I'll be surprised with whatever they do, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, to your point, Nick, it has been a little bit disappointing.
So quick question, because I know the timer is about to go off as I say it. I just wanted to get this out because we spent a little more time than I was expecting on the Cruiserweight tournament.
Sorry.
But no, that's all good. Io Shirai, Ripley, and Flair. Do we see Charlotte Flair dropping the title, Carlos? Do we see her going to Raw because of the Becky Lynch situation? And
yeah, we were talking about this off air. I think this is the cleanest way to do it. And even Mark mentioned it last week. I'm like, when we were kind of speculating that this might happen and this will go this route. I think either Io or Ripley are going to pin each other. Charlotte doesn't look bad. She's not champion, but she doesn't look bad. And she goes back to Raw to her and Asuka can start their feud again. I mean,
and she just had the match with Bayley too. So
yeah.
We'll talk more about that because I'm sure you'll bring it up.
And real quick, I like that what Carlos just said, but I think Flair needs to take the pin because I think that's how you elevate the talent. I think you get Ripley to pin Flair, and then you go.
I also think that is very fair as well. I think that needs to happen. I just worry with. I don't even think it's like Charlotte pushing for her booking. I just think that's just how she happens to be booked a lot of times. Is that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So. I would be surprised if like WWE itself is like, nah, she can't take the pin. Io could take the pin, but she can't.
I guarantee you her dad told her, it doesn't matter how many times you win the belt. It matters that you win it. because she doesn't care if she drops the belt. She'll be 11-time champion or 12-time champion, you know, whatever. So she's cool. I'm sure she doesn't give a crap about being booked as a champ. Yeah. Real quick, yes or no? Are we excited for Dream and Cole too, or is that just got to run its course so we can go on to the next thing?
I mean, I'm excited. I don't see him winning. Still, like I again, if there was fans, Dream wins, it would be awesome. And also, I mean, we haven't heard anything about his recent run-ins with some weird social media stuff.
That could be a good thing. So
that could be a good thing. Yeah, that could be an indicator that maybe like everything's cool and like it could happen. But I kind of like this, like Keith Lee dropping the title to Gargano and then Keith Lee winning, because that imagine fans seeing Keith Lee win the NXT Championship and dethrone.
Fans have to be there, though.
Fans have to be there. That's true.
No way he wins that. Yeah. Cole could hold that for another whole year. Got that Rona title. So I'll go ahead and I'll toss it over to Carlos for our rundown on this week's SmackDown.
Alrighty, guys. So yeah, we had Friday Night SmackDown last night, as always, from the Performance Center. But
Triple H.
So yeah, I would say the biggest story is we have the semifinals set for the IC title now. The last of the first round matches were completed. We had Shinsuke and AJ put in on a barn burner. Of course they would. How about 2 weeks of SmackDown with like two amazing matches? You know, Gulak.
If you give someone time, they will do well. I don't doubt if any of those performers got 10, 15 minutes each, they'd be all right.
And dude, between that match and just to mention, like you said earlier, Bayley and Charlotte, man, there were some great matches last night, man. It was just rare form for then the rest of the storylines to be nothing. You know what I mean? Like you would think, we always talk about the IC title always being meaningless in today's day and age, and like they have been having some of the greatest matches for this title tournament.
Tournament. You have a tournament. People love it.
Mm-hmm.
What WrestleMania was that with the tournament for? Was it Macho Man? Macho Man won that, right?
WrestleMania 4, yeah.
Where he won the tournament, become champ. Okay.
Yeah, that's because it was a $1 Million Man didn't want to drop it, right?
No, Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man did not want to drop the IC title back to Savage, which was the original plan. So Vince McMahon said, and DiBiase was supposed to win the world title. And DiBiase got hosed, and that's why they brought in the $1 Million Championship. It's a whole long story. Thanks to Honky Tonk Man.
Thanks, Alex. That's the weirdest part of it. It's Honky Tonk Man. And
I just wanted to hop on what Carlos said. You know, AJ Styles be advancing in that Intercontinental Tournament. He's home on SmackDown. So we talked about that. He's been traded off air, but obviously bringing about it now. But I think AJ has to win the whole thing. I'm kind of hoping for AJ. The Intercontinental Championship, we just talked about some of the history, has always been the quote-unquote working man title. You know, you look back at Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect and some of the past champions, and AJ Styles needs to win this tournament.
Yeah, I think so, especially previously, like before the trade, I would have said no, just because like you want someone from SmackDown to win the title and things of that nature, and I would assume Daniel Bryan would have won it. But now I think we'll get to who it's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy next week. Jeff Hardy advancing against Sheamus. I think Daniel Bryan's going to win his match, go to the final, and then AJ's going to win his match against Elias.
Yeah, I already said this.
That's the finals we all kind of want to see. AJ versus Bryan.
Backlash, that match right there is probably match of the night at Backlash.
So how about this? How about they have the tournament final? I'm booking a month down the road. They have the tournament final at the next pay-per-view, and it goes a 30-minute draw. Ooh. And then they had to have a rematch. That would just that would just be cool.
No, that would be good.
Well, perfect. That is the perfect thing, because you know what you could do? You could do a best-of-7 series. Every time they've had those, they have been amazing. I mean, Jesus Christ, one of them produced one of the greatest tag teams, The Bar. Like, that tag team was prevalent for a long, long time, all because they hated each other and wrestled 7 matches.
Yeah, I think that's the best outcome for this, too, especially – and I think you're right, Mark. AJ does need to win because AJ has lost his best friends. And he feels responsible in a way. He's mentioned that, like, on his personal, like, actual not WWE affiliated, like on his mixer, playing video games. He's like, I felt like the big brother who just lost his little brothers. and I couldn't help them. Like, he feels like really disrespected from that. But he's been also like, he is a made man as well in WWE. In the very short time he's been in there, he's had such an impact. No pun intended. But he has such an impact that he's already like a made man. And I think this is like, I can see WWE giving him like a shake his hand and be like, hey, sorry, messed up. That's on us. You need it. Here's a title. Here's a title win. And then you and Daniel can keep going for it. And then like SummerSlam, like Daniel can win it or something like that. It could
like I said, if it's a best of 7, it doesn't have to be every week that they have to have a match. You could take a break and then the next you could break it out to where it goes from Backlash all the way to SummerSlam, and you've already booked these two dudes in matches, and it doesn't even have to be a heel face type of dynamic at first. It could slowly build into one of them. Like you said,
they're both competitive. Like
and Bryant lost a close friend in Drew Gulak, so they both could feed off of that, and that those people ain't there to help them and talk to them and make them think how they would normally think. There's tons of stuff they can go off of.
I think so, yeah. And then now that the bell went off, I did want to stop one thing about the AJ Styles thing. I don't know. It was reported last night during SmackDown that AJ's been traded to Raw from Raw to SmackDown for future considerations. A, what do you think that means in the world of WWE? B, why are they? It seems like they're trying to go against, like they're trying to make it more sports feel, a la AEW. Correct?
I just told Mark this before you hopped on. I think it's the dumbest idea that WWE is trying to make this a real sport.
Yeah.
Stop trying. Like, you talk to the audience like we're idiots. If you treat it like a TV show, we'll be fine. If you treat it like it's real sports, I'm not going to take you serious, because trades, how do you get traded when you're under the same fucking company?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get traded? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Just say he will be wrestling on SmackDown for a while. Like, just say that. Like, it's okay. You got trades like for future considerations until we sign a new person. Like
who you signed? Is it NXT call up? What do you mean?
Like, how do you grade the levels? So if like I trade, if you got AJ Styles and I gave you Heath Slater, that like we traded, like, is that how the value of the trade works? Like,
yeah, like how does this work? And like AEW's real sports feel is like win-loss record, right? And that kind of makes sense. And it's not used well in AEW. Like, they kind of mess some stuff up. Some people get title shots even though they don't have the best record. It doesn't make sense.
It's like their first match. Yeah, no,
but still, like, at least like that makes way more sense than future considerations. Like, what the hell?
You get a second round draft pick.
Yeah. Do you think they have to wear the hat?
But like, it's the same company. Like
in my head, I'm just thinking like Austin Theory. He's not on Raw. You see him Raw picks Austin Theory.
I think that is the dumbest thing. Just right above. What was it? I forgot. I completely lost my train of thought because I was laughing so hard.
I knew you guys would laugh about that because I brought it up in my notes for last night's episode. I have it too. It's like quotations, future considerations. What the hell does that mean?
Next.
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Next. Yeah, SmackDown. That was. If you guys have a chance though, just watch AJ and Shinsuke and Charlotte and Bayley. We can move on though to.
One thing about the Charlotte and Bayley thing before we switch over, is Bayley the only wrestler to have a winning record against Charlotte?
Yeah. Or did Becky?
I don't know if Becky.
I think Bayley has more wins against her than Becky.
I was about to say,
Bayley has
they had a match.
Bayley's beaten her for more championships than anybody else.
Well, their record is 9-8. Since she won last night, she broke the tie, and it's just like, it's one of those things that just shows me Bayley's so underrated as a wrestler. That she doesn't get the credit that she deserves.
You think she's like the macho man out of all of them? Charlotte's just her dad.
I don't want to say all that, but
Charlotte's just her dad, no matter what.
But yeah, she's definitely Macho Man-esque in terms of not getting the credit right now. That
20 years from now, we're like, yo, man, Bayley was the best. Like, oh yeah,
Bayley
right.
was the shit.
Like, Macho Man. Like, we talk about Macho Man now, like, yo, man, Macho Man.
But we can go ahead and switch gears to AEW. I'll let Mark take over.
Start with. All right. Well, Double or Nothing is tonight. I got to tell you, the build to this pay-per-view has been pretty solid. AEW's done a decent job with the empty arena shows at Daly's Place, Dally, whatever it is, Dilly Dally. That is it's been a fun, it's been a pleasurable experience to watch those shows. They've kind of done a decent job with the wrestlers and the production staff at ringside, and I expect nothing less than that tonight, as they will also be holding Double or Nothing at Daly's Place. The main event, of course, is for the AEW Championship. Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee. We've talked about this in the past. Nick, does Brody Lee win the big one in his first opportunity?
I've been mulling this over in my head for a couple days now, because I want to say yes, because I think it just fits the gimmick. I feel like the title will validate his whole shtick, but you can't take the belt off Moxley. Like, I mean, Moxley doesn't need the belt. That's what racks my brains, is he doesn't need it. If he loses, I wouldn't think twice about him being a top contender. But there's got to be like some shenanigans. I'm gonna say no. I don't think they pull the trigger, but I wouldn't be surprised if Brody Lee did win. But I'll go with Moxley. That'll be my prediction.
Carlos.
All right, I'm gonna go with Moxley. I don't think that Brody Lee is ready for a championship win. I think it's really early on. I think that was why when it initially happened, I was shocked. I was like, ooh, I thought this is too early. I think it's eventually going to happen. I think he has all the makings of a world championship, and it shows now, especially coming back into like being the Exalted One, actually having a great persona on the mic, which is something that was never able to be shown in WWE. Like, I think he is all around like a world-class talent, and it shows finally in AEW. And I think eventually down the line, he'll be world champion. I don't see him being it right now. Now, whoever wins this like casino ladder thing that we'll talk about later, I think they have a good chance. My prediction might be that.
So I have two reasons why I think Moxley retains. So it looks like all three of us are voting for Moxley. I'm writing this down. So
I am too. Yeah.
The two reasons I think Moxley retains. Number one, they did the angle where Brody Lee takes the championship belt, and possession is 9/10 of the law. So you need to have that quote unquote feel good moment of the good guy getting his belt back.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I believe that the Brody Lee character is still developing. I don't think we've seen the end result yet. I think they're still working on, because think back to the Dark Order when they first got over. It was Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, and they're talking about this mysterious, whatever, the Exalted One. But since he's been there, Uno and Grayson haven't been there. We haven't seen the full Dark Order in the way that I think it was originally intended. So I think you can have some kind of Moxley roll up from behind, hook the tights, cheat to win, get his belt back, and then you kind of build the Dark Order as a stable again. And then you kind of elevate Brody Lee. That's kind of my 2 cents there.
So you mean like the full forces, like the Dark Order, like Uno, Grayson,
right now because of COVID, it's kind of a watered down Dark Order. Yeah. But I think once they're full power, I could see him getting the title.
Yeah,
because all he has right now is that guy 10, right?
Right.
I don't think he has anybody else.
So I don't have a broken arm after this past Wednesday. So
yeah, I can definitely see Mox, because he only has to jump one obstacle to get through Brody Lee, win this match. I now that you mention it, Mark, I didn't even think about Uno and Grayson because I haven't seen them in so long, but they're obviously a major component because that at that point it's 4-on-1 or however many minions they have. So
perfect, right?
Well, we're going to move on to the TNT Championship Tournament final. Nick loves tournaments, as we spoke about earlier. The finals between Cody and Lance Archer. Of course, this past week we had a great segment between the managers for both, Jake the Snake Roberts and Arn Anderson. And that, tell you what, that
you called it, man. You called it. Like it was so good.
Yeah.
They still got it. Like I believe that for a second, these two old men were going to beat the shit out of them. And I wanted to see it. I was a little kid again. I was like, beat his ass, Jake.
Yeah.
They
didn't take no bumps.
That's something that AEW is doing really good, is that they're utilizing the managers. That's not a curse word in AEW, which is really refreshing to see. I personally think that either way, AEW wins. Mike Tyson is presenting the belt. So
it's been heavily alluded to that he might be physical as well, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, he's fighting.
Arn Anderson announced during that promo that Mike Tyson's been given free reign. So you could pull the trigger. You could have Cody win and maybe some kind of altercation at the end with Lance and Mike Tyson. Because I had to pick one, I'm going to say Cody. But either way, I'm surprised, and they can go any direction, and it would be great.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with you, Mark. I think Cody wins this. I think it's about time Cody wins. I wasn't super convinced earlier in the week, and watching Wednesday's Dynamite, and also watching other people online that I follow in on wrestling YouTube, and they all kind of agree. Like they kind of sold me on Cody actually winning the big one. I think it's about time he wins a big thing, and I don't think the TNT title is a afterthought for AEW. I think it's going to be a prominent title that we'll see defended. I think Cody's a great first champion, a la Jericho to the AEW World Championship.
I'm torn because as much as you say AEW wins, I think they lose. I'll be a pessimist on this a little bit because if Cody loses, he can't win the big one. If Archer loses, I think he loses some of that polish of him being a monster. Unless like you guys were talking about earlier, Mike Tyson has free reign and pops him in the mouth. Then, most people are like, listen, you get popped in the mouth by Mike Tyson. I understand why you lost the match.
Yeah, the other thing, too, to think about, Jake has always had to try to rein in Lance, right? Like, because he's a monster, right? Like, he's like, Lance has always tried to jump ahead, and he's like, nah, we wait. We do all this stuff, and he has reign on him. If something happens to Jake or something like that, and he cannot control the monster, that's an easy storyline way for I'd
die if Mike Tyson popped Jake the Snake in the mouth.
I would piss myself. I'm telling you
I'll crack up.
So what's your prediction, Nick? Who do you think's gonna win?
I'll go with Cody. He needs to win this. I'm
gonna change my prediction, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give a reason why yet. I'm going to go with Lance on this one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you guys why when we get later on.
Okay.
So we have 2 Cody and 1 Lance.
Yeah.
We're going to move on.
I'm excited. I don't know why that made me excited.
You son of a bitch.
It was announced last week that there's going to be a Stadium Stampede match with Matt Hardy and the Elite taking on the Inner Circle.
Yeah, I know you're repping.
I'm going to give my thoughts real quick. I think this is going to be AEW's response to Money in the Bank, where they're going to be brawling all over the stadium in Jacksonville. And I'm okay with this match being pre-recorded. I'm okay with it being edited because I think we're going to see a lot more of what we saw 2 weeks ago with that street fight. I think you have to have the Inner Circle win to continue the feud. They're still leading to Blood and Guts. We don't know when that is, but they're still building up to that. So I think you have to have the Inner Circle go over. And just a side question, you guys don't have to answer this. With 5-on-5, are they going to have 5 different referees to count a possible pinfall?
Yeah, it's just interesting because I don't know. We already know it's been recorded. I don't know if it was like Thursday or yesterday. And I don't know if you guys seen the aerial shots of the.
No, I didn't see that. I know they're available, but I want to watch it. I want to see it without.
The only reason I wanted to look it up was because on Wednesday's Dynamite, I don't know if you guys noticed, the end zone said the Elite.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I need to see like aerial shots. So they have one.
And they announced that the ring was going to be on the 50-yard line. So
it is. It does look cool. It looks a little hokey just because it's still set up for football, but at the same time, it makes sense in the Stadium Stampede match. And there's a big AEW logo too, so it's pretty cool. So if you can kind of mind's eye imagine it, I think it'll look better when we first actually see it. It's revealed, not these like whatever aerial shots from some dude's drone. But I think Yeah, I want to know the rules specifically. I know that they said there was some stuff they mentioned on Dynamite with rule set, but like, does the pinfall have to happen in the ring? Is that why the ring's set up? If so, then like, I feel like we're gonna have different angles, different things like that, and I think it's gonna be fun. I think this is gonna be the match of the night. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually is the last match to go on. I think that's a perfect idea to end the pay-per-view that way. But I think if you go in, I think that 5 referee thing might make sense, because it should happen anywhere, right? It'd be weird for it to be like, no, you have to pin the dude in the center of the ring. Like, do we though?
So who do you think's gonna win?
Oh yeah, I think the Elite need to win. I think they need to win. It was nice seeing the Young Bucks and even though Matt's injured now, Young Bucks and Paige come back, especially Paige, and after his BTE segment. So I think if you watch BTE and you see Paige's segment at the end of the episode and how he kind of has this like heart-to-heart moment he's like talking about alcohol, but he's not. He's really talking about like, he feels like less than anything or surrounded by all these, like his friends and all this stuff. And that this title should mean something and it should win and it should be enough, but it's not enough. And maybe like I'm going to get effed anyway. So I might as well just roll with the punches. So I was like, that whole little soliloquy that he had on BT, I think kind of solidified the Elite winning for me.
So it was you picked the Inner Circle, right, Mark?
Yep.
And you picked the Elite, so I'm the tiebreaker. Okay. Pressure. On a scale of 1 to wedgie, how tight do you think Vince McMahon is that he didn't think of this idea first?
Oh man,
He had all the football stadiums that he could have possibly done this at, and I
don't know, Raymond James Stadium at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not the same though. I'm pretty sure this is on the grass, right? Is that what they're doing? Yeah, I think that's awesome because like now somebody is thrown out the ring. You know, it's on grass. It doesn't look as crazy, but it's interesting because it's at a huge stadium. I'm going to go with the Inner Circle on this one, just because I think that they'll lose the blood and guts. I think that they'll lose the blood and guts because they're not at full. The Elite's not really at full strength. That's not the real Elite,
right?
And then like you have tension still with Paige and the Young Bucks. We don't know how that's going to pan out. We haven't seen them on camera in so long. Maybe he says something to him. Maybe he's kind of drunk. You know, maybe he goes to drink in the middle of the match.
Wednesday made that great return, running the whole length of the football team, fighting, and then when the camera panned out, Paige started walking away again. So he was there for his friends, and then he kind of just walked away again. So they're continuing that storyline. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll go with the Inner Circle on this one just because I think they need to win. I think that stable has lost a lot of its luster because of Moxley kind of like running through them, sort of. So they need to get this W. I'll take them.
I mean, me saying the Elite, I think this is one of those matches that I'm just going to be happy. I've said this so many times with like AEW pay-per-views and you guys see me when we watch them together. Like, I'm always just I'm like, Dave, this is just going to be good. Like, Inner Circle wins, I'm happy. Like, no matter what. Like, I think it's going to be through some chicanery or something like that. It's going.
He's lying, Mark. He wants that. He wants that top dog championship. He's lying. Yeah. I'll be happy with what I need the Elite to win.
You know, the casino ladder match will take place. Now, this is AEW's response to Money in the Bank, which I am a big fan of. Yeah. The winner will have a casino chip that he can cash in for a future world title match. The competitors are Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and a mystery competitor. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, any of those people can win except for Frankie Kazarian. So I see this happening. I see this happening, and my prediction. I want to, if you don't mind, I'm going to go last on this one.
Okay.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, Nick.
Quick question: Is the chip the same as the Money in the Bank? You can cash it in at any time, or is it just a cash in for a match?
That's a good point. I think you cash it in for a match. I don't think it's at any time, like when your opponent's weak. I think it could be
Right.
But
So
we really haven't gone into that.
Yeah,
that's important for me because it changes the dynamic. I think if the dynamic is you can win at any time, any place, a heel should win this tournament first for the first go around because that's a heel thing to do is to win this and then be a sneak. But if it's just a match in general, I can see a face winning it. A good guy, and there is no good guy better than Darby Allin right now. I think he is the safest bet. I'll say Darby Allin just because it's the most logical one. I can't think of anybody else really winning it without some form of I don't know.
Do you are you kind of in your head too? Also seeing like a Moxley Darby Allin feud? Is that why? Like,
maybe, but I also could see it's for the AEW title, right? Or is it just any? Okay. Because I was gonna say if it's for any title, I could see him cashing it in for the TNT title against Cody because they still have a ongoing feud for the longest, and he still wants to prove himself in that. But yeah, I'll say Darby Allin. I was gonna say Rey Fenix before he got injured because that guy can have an amazing match with him
and Cassidy, man. That was another one of those matches of the week, man.
Like that dude is.
Like, go back and watch that. That was amazing. Cassidy puts on bangers, dude.
I'll go with unless the surprise entrant is someone of legend status.
Sting.
It's Sting. You just ruined Mark's moment. Damn it!
Nope, not yet.
I think I have an idea. I'm gonna.
I'll stop talking now, because I'm intrigued of what Mark's gonna say. So
I really am. That's why I'm just gonna make my prediction real quick. And who I think is going to be one of the rising stars of AEW and kind of a breakout talent. I think it's going to be Scorpio Sky. I think he is.
I thought you were gonna say Luchasaurus.
I think it's a little early. And
way early
with a TNT title.
Yeah, way too early.
I think we have something special with Scorpio Sky. He had that a couple weeks ago on Dynamite. They had like that kind of like 2 weeks in a row. Like, hey, this is my life. This is why I'm where I'm at now because of SCU and things like that. And I think that dude's just natural talent. He had that match with Jericho too when he was world champ. I think that's someone we have to look out for. And I think Scorpio Sky is going to win this.
Prior to about 3 minutes ago, when I had this revelation in my head, I was going to go with either Darby Allin or Scorpio Sky as my pick to win this match. However, during our conversation and prediction, something came to me. This match will be placed after the TNT Championship match, which Lance Archer will win. Your mystery competitor will be one Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes will win the match and get a future AEW World Title match. Book it.
Oh man, okay, I like that. See, I thought you were gonna go with
he's gonna come down to the ring. His promos this entire time for the TNT Championship have been spot on from a face, but a serious face. He has been saying, I need this title. I need this title. I cannot challenge for the world title. I need to win this. It's going to cement my legacy in AEW. He loses. He loses to Lance. Mm-hmm. So then he just goes batshit crazy, obsessed with having to win a championship. And I would even go one step further. I would even have like a mystery competitor come to the ring and have Cody take him out to interject himself in the match. Now, that's a very heelish thing to do.
Super heelish.
It's a super heelish thing to do. So there's that large shadow looming. That would be so fun to watch.
I was with you until he said ambush the guy. You do that, you kill any doubt that he's a face, and you lose your biggest baby face.
No, because you build somebody out.
I won't edit that out, but I'll agree with that.
No.
Ambush anybody.
Who would it be though? I mean, if it's a heel, I guess I could kind of understand it. Maybe is MJF in the
No, well, he's not in the. He has a match with Jungle Boy.
Right.
So I mean,
he's not in it yet.
It'd be different if it was him. Then I think everybody'd be happy. Then be whatever. MJF is not deserving of this spot. I'm taking it from him. But
if this goes the way like Mark is saying though, like it is believable because if you watch his ROH like run and you watch his New Japan run, dude, that was like peak heel. Like Cody was one of the best heels in both companies, and it's because of that obsessive nature he has for wanting a title and things like that. Like he wanted the ROH title, he got it. He wanted, the US title, he got it. He wanted the New Japan title, the IWGP title, did not get it because Kenny's that good. But that kind of like that was the thing that swayed him back. He turned the whole Bullet Club on its head. Like, don't forget, Cody's the one who did that. So Cody is willing to do whatever it takes, and he's always been the more natural heel out of him and his brother. Like his brother's weird, but he turns people on their head. Yeah. Hey man, you never know, man. Yeah. But yeah, like Cody's always the one who's been obsessed. He's always been the one who's been crazy, like about titles and stuff like that. So I would not be. That's a great call. And yeah, he's the biggest babyface, but you just build somebody else up. You have Darby Allin. Moxley is the world champion, and he's a face. Like he has that Stone Cold persona about him. Why not? Yeah, that's great. I'm still going to stay with the Scorpion's guy, but man, that's a great idea. Now I really want this to happen.
So, every time you say that, Carlos, it doesn't happen. So.
I know. I got to stop saying that.
But again,
there's a lot of players.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of free agents other than Cody that could. That's why I said it depends on who that person is for me. Because if they're of a legend status, if it's someone like, no offense to Zack Ryder, but if it was like Zack Ryder, I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But like he's in like the Colt Cabana category.
Right. But if it was someone like Drew Gulak,
that's what I was like, Gulak, that would be awesome.
Right. That'd be interesting because they could push him towards the AEW world title because he is good in the ring and he is good. He fits more of like the AEW mesh than the WWE.
Let's look at it from another perspective. He didn't exactly job. I mean, he lost to Daniel Bryan, but there's no shame in that. Mm-mm. It's not like he got jobbed out on his way.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no, he had offense.
Yeah. He had one of those matches that you have to study.
Well, they talked about it. They were like, before the match, we both agree we won't be using open palm strikes. Like it's all technical and wrestling. Submission holds is how they wanted to have their match, and they did. Yeah,
having like a pure wrestler like Gulak, that would be a great catch. Cobb would be another good mysterious opponent to come in because we haven't seen him in AEW in a while.
And there's rumors about Brian Cage signing. I mean, Brian Cage. Former
see if he was in it, I would peg him because he's such a powerhouse that I could see him ripping. See, I also don't know how I'm assuming it's just like Money in the Bank where everybody just comes to the ring and fights for the ladder. And there's no time.
Well, the rules are every 90 seconds. It starts with 2 men, and then every 90 seconds.
Okay, so
comes in. So this match could be over before all the competitors are even in the ring.
And let's not forget the inverse of Mark's prediction too. Lance Archer could be the one who loses, comes in and beats everyone, has the chip, and he goes after Moxley because they have that history. They have that history in New Japan. Like for the IWGP US title. Like why not?
Right.
That could work as well.
That's a great point.
It sounds beautiful. I'll if that happens, all I want to see is Marco Stunt on his way to the ring, and then Jake puts him in the DDT and drops him, and then
Marco Stunt is like the Hans Mole Man of AEW.
And just so we can say it on the show, I know we have to move on with the time. Mm-hmm. If it is Sting, I will be screaming at home. Okay?
Please record yourself. Just record yourself.
I am a big Sting fan, and I think I would mark out, no pun intended. Moving on, the AEW Women's Championship will be defended as Nyla Rose defends against Hikaru Shida. This is a no DQ match, which I think adds a different element. I think I was originally going to go with Shida as winning this, but with no DQ, I think Nyla Rose holds on. Carlos, what say you?
I actually agree as well. If it wasn't no DQ, I was going with Shida, but the fact that it is DQ, I think Nyla Rose throws her through a table or something. Like we're gonna get something. It's gonna be a good match too. That this match is gonna be one of those ones like, man, they had to go against whatever match was before them. Hopefully, it's like crazy enough that they can equal up to whatever craziness that they go on before or after. But I think Nyla Rose wins.
Plot twist. Britt Baker is not supposed to be on the card at all, right? I think she costs Nyla Rose the title and gives it to Shida because Shida and her have a history, and like I can see her thinking to herself, I can't beat Nyla Rose, but I could probably beat Shida, and helping Shida win the title.
That'd be cool. months and she's not really out for 9 months.
Yeah, and right, and is that how long she's supposed to be out? 9 months?
She's done for the rest of the year.
Jesus Christ, that's what's been reported. Oh my God,
toward ACL, right? Or is it?
Hey man, it's a prediction, Nick. You know.
Hey man,
I can definitely see that. That would be my prediction. If she doesn't have the torn ACL, I didn't know she had. I knew she was. They were like real secretive about it because they were like, oh yeah, she's out, but we really don't have a lot to go off at this time. And
yeah, 3 big people got her on Wednesday. It was her, Matt, and Phoenix. But Matt's easy. Like you just hide them. Everything's taped too. You know what I mean? Like they just have to be careful.
Well, that concludes the title matches for tonight's show. Another main attraction, of course, we touched upon earlier. MJF will be taking on Jungle Boy. And real quick, I think MJF wins this match.
Yeah, MJF.
It's just going to be MJF wins, but it's going to be a showcase for Jungle Boy. Kind of like
I will say, MJF. Every time he wrestles somebody, they look great in the ring with him. He sells everything for these people.
Yeah, he really does, man. He's such. I mean, God, he's such a natural heel. He's just so good. He's so gosh darn good, man.
But you know what though? But see, being such an amazing heel will also benefit him when he turns face eventually.
Absolutely.
Down the line, because people love a cocky good guy. They're like, yeah, he might be an asshole, but that's our asshole.
Yep. Absolutely, I agree 100%. Moving on, we have again Britt Baker, who may or may not be hurt, according to Nick. Was supposed to take on Chris Statlander. That is now going to Penelope Ford. Thank God Penelope Ford is on pay-per-view, and Penelope Ford can just win every single match in the world.
Honestly, I'm going to pick her. I'm actually going to pick her to win this, man. Especially with Kasabian.
Yeah,
I
was thinking the same thing. Not because Penelope Ford is Penelope Ford, but because her character, it makes sense. I think Statlander's fine. She could win like 2 or 3 world titles as AEW goes along because of her size and her natural ability. But she could also take losses and dust them right off. And Ford, I think this is her first mainstay match, right? Like this is her first showcase.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And Statlander was impressive leading up to Revolution. I think that match with Nyla kind of fell flat at the pay-per-view. But
I don't think Nyla wrestles well with other big women.
Right, and I think that's a very fair statement. She's done very well against Riho and others, but I think that's a very fair assessment. So I think you build up to heels. Heels always have to be built up a little bit better than faces. Chris Statlander is a player. She's going to be around, like you said, Nick. I can see her being a future champion. Maybe not now, but definitely.
Right. Yeah, definitely down the line.
Carlos?
I'm going to go with Ford.
Okay. Did you say that earlier? I'm sorry.
It's fine.
This past week on AEW, one of the more entertaining segments was the Sean Spears Network, or whatever it was, the SSN. I tell you what, if they decide to stick with that, I think that could get over. Sean Spears wearing a suit and calling out Dustin Rhodes. I think if there's one competitor in AEW who has been stuck in first gear, it's Sean Spears. I think he deserves a big win. I don't think it takes anything away from Dustin if he loses, so I'm going to go Sean Spears with this.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Sean Spears on this one as well.
Yeah, Sean Spears needs to win. Otherwise, if he doesn't win tonight, I expect Tully Blanchard to blast him in the mid.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be a twist, a turn? Tully Blanchard is siding with the Rhodes.
Yeah. Unheard of.
Absolutely.
I don't think like siding with the Rhodes. I was just thinking more like I'm pissed off and done with you.
Yeah, you gotta stop losing, kid.
I'm gonna go get my daughter so she can go beat up, Nyla Rose and the rest of these people.
And on the buy-in pre-show, Private Party will take on Best Friends, and I would like to say that MVPs of this COVID-19 era have been Best Friends. I think they've had each and every week they've been just showing their talent and having great matches. And it kind of bums me out that they're on the pre-show because I think they deserve a pay-per-view spot. But you have a very loaded card. Private Party hasn't been there. They've been doing some stuff on BTE, but they really haven't been a presence on TV. So you can make the argument that they need to win because they're not fresh in people's minds, but you could also make the argument that Best Friends have been and they're more polished. So I'm going to go with Best Friends on this one.
I'm going to go with Private Party. I think they're going to win and challenge Kenny Omega and Adam Page for the title because of Page's history with them. Page owing the money. Also, he just sent a hitman in a teddy bear against them. I don't know. Watch BTE, people. It's crazy. This shit is wild. And the Boogeyman, I think, or a Boogeyman. I don't know what the hell that thing is. Anyway, I think they'll play off like just the normal storyline that's been building, and I think Private Party has been trying to be friends with Adam Page, but he's his own worst enemy. And I think whatever happens in their match, Private Party are going to be the new world champions for the tag team division whenever that happens.
Well, Best Friends are number 1 in the rankings, and Private Party is number 3. So this is essentially a number 1 contenders match for the tag team titles. I'm going to go with Best Friends because of what Mark stated. I think they deserve that push. They haven't even gotten a crack. Private Party is still very, very young. They have plenty of time to do anything they want. When I watch Best Friends, all I can think of is Harlem Heat in the sense of I can see Trent being Booker T, where he's with a tag team for about years and then becomes a mega star on his own. Because that guy, every time he's a singles wrestler, is great, and he has hard hitting matches. I don't ever see him drop anybody on their head, anything like that. I think Best Friends beats Omega and Page for the titles, so I'm gonna go with that, and I think they'll win tonight. But I think Trent is my breakout star for years down the line, like 2 years down the line, mega star.
And he's like a veteran too. Let's not forget, he's been through it.
Yeah, he's not like a young kid.
No, he's been through all the BS in WWE, and then actually having a chance to shine in New Japan under Chaos. I think he learned too from his Chaos stablemate. I think.
I said Harlem Heat, and Mark's face was like he just sucked on 6 lemons.
Your explanation made sense. So
hey, man, I would love to be Harlem Heat. Nobody wants to be
better than being the Rockers.
I don't want to be Marty Jannetty, 85, trying to hit on 19-year-old girls.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
they're not 19 though.
For us, but if you're Marty Jannetty, is there anything wrong with it?
As long as they're actually of age.
Yes.
No, I see Chuck Taylor, him not being that jealous kind of partner. I see him being supportive. Like Stevie Ray. Well, Stevie Ray wasn't supportive at times, but for the most part, he was supportive.
The NWOs, Stevie Ray. God damn it!
And on that note,
we did it in the time frame. We did
it. So I guess we'll just have some closing thoughts before we wrap this all up. I guess my closing thoughts for this week in wrestling is pretty much I just got finished watching The Dark Side of the Ring. It gives us a great in-depth look at how the wrestling business acts behind the scenes and how important it is, in front of the camera as well, because those things affect these people. They're human beings. So I guess my takeaway and my closing thought is always mental health. Make sure that everybody that watches the show, everybody in general, just, make sure your mental health is well. You talk to people, you keep people informed, and you're not, sitting in the dark, because a lot of these wrestlers were sitting in the dark and doing things in the dark that, just weren't good.
Yeah. I just want to mention, I know we talked about it off air in the wrestling world. I also kind of banded together, but Sunday, Shad Gaspard, he unfortunately he passed away. His body was found Wednesday. He was called in the Riptide, and as they were saving him, he pushed them away from him to go get his son. a lot of people have been throwing around like he died a hero's death, and as a father too, I agree. Right now, just talking about it, I'm just getting goosebumps. It's I was always a fan of Crime Time, but to hear all these amazing stories about how just well respected he was and how nice he was, and that video kept surfacing around when Kofi won the title last year, and Shad and MVP crying because they knew how important it was, and it just seemed like he was such a great family man. I've never heard anything bad about him. If you're a nerd like me too, like he did all the physical body work pretty much for God of War, the most recent one. He was basically Kratos, other than like the acting scenes. That was Christopher Judge. So I just want to send my condolences out to his wife and family. And there's Pro Wrestling Tees, and I think Collar and Elbow both have commemorative shirts for him. The proceeds, I believe, go to his family. So if you want to support them, there's some really good shirts. And rest in peace, Chad.
Well, Nick talking about mental health and Carlos talking about Shad. I can't end the show crying. So what I'm going to do, a entrance ramp exclusive, is I'm going to take Nick's advice from earlier in the show, and I guarantee you all 100 of you that watch this show, if Sting debuts tonight on AEW, I will videotape my reaction and post it on the channel, because I am really the fact that tonight's pay-per-view, I'm really excited about it to see it. I wish I was with you guys to watch it. The governor still hasn't. Yeah. But the fact is that I'm really excited to watch this show tonight, and I'm happy with the direction that AEW is going in. And if they get someone like Sting, I will absolutely freak the hell out.
Dude, I tell you that actually, if that were to happen, like that actually would be like a good thing for how crazy and weird this week was. And like we both mentioned, like we both kind of mentioned sad things, like that dark side of the ring. Like I still have to watch. I should do that. I should do this type of like watch an episode and every week give you like my impressions, because I haven't watched an episode at all. But to end cap with Owen Hart and his demise and Chad's stuff, that'd be a cool little like awesome thing to just see, like Sting just show up, because I think everyone would it would be like a good feel good moment for all of us.
I mean, it's set up perfectly. I mean, this is total armchair booking, but like it's set up perfectly with him being the last entrant. That like you don't even need fans. You could probably hear the fans all around the city screaming.
You just hear the collective world.
You probably hear the back. Everyone in the back just freaking out because they probably never thought this would happen. But I mean, it just all makes sense. Sting on TNT is just, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
And look at Shivani. TNT was the ones who kind of asked Shivani to be a play-by-play guy. AEW, I think, was kind of going to go with the JR and Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone was going to be there like kind of like their backstage person.
Yeah.
But TNT asked that Schiavone be part of it because of his history with TNT. So absolutely, Sting coming home would be pretty fun to watch. And if it doesn't happen, oh well. I don't have to embarrass myself. But you guys with more serious closing thoughts, I had to lighten it up a little bit. So for Carlos,
definitely.
Nick, I am Mark. I hope everybody enjoys tonight's Double or Nothing from AEW, and we will see you all next week on the Entrance Ramp. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Night.
Thank you for listening to the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Please like us on Facebook at the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Entrance Ramp Pod, and subscribe to us on YouTube by searching for the Entrance Ramp Podcast. We'll see you next time.